Okay, I love Section 8 and I love partnering with people like you on my Section 8 investing deals. But whenever I get into partnerships, you guys always send me a million questions, which is good. You're vetting me. You're making sure that I can do what I can say I can do. You're really asking for proof of experience, which is great. So I wanted to address some frequently asked questions. And these are real questions that I'm answering literally in real time in email. And I was like, this is the perfect time for me to just go ahead and record it. That way I can always send it out. So here goes. This person asked, how long does it take to get set up with Section 8 as a landlord? Is this going to take months or weeks? So to get set up with Section 8 as a landlord does not happen until after you get a tenant who has a voucher. Once you complete their paperwork and submit it to Section 8, then that is when you're able to start getting set up as a landlord. Now, you can take the certification course whenever, you can take it today, but in terms of like really getting scheduled for an inspection and setting up payments and the real parts of the Section 8 certification, that is going to take between 4 to 12 weeks. And here's why. The longest wait time really is, keep in mind that Section 8 is a government organization, right? So they don't move as quickly as private companies or corporations. So one example is getting scheduled for an inspection. I've seen it backed up 2 or 3 weeks at times. So we're just waiting to get our inspection date or waiting to get, the inspectors to come out. And we literally just have to stop and wait. So I've seen that happen. Not all the time, but it does happen. And when you're working with me, obviously I have relationships with my local housing authority. So, you know. Anyway, the second thing that takes a while is deal negotiation. Remember, a lot of times we're buying turnkey. That's my preference. So that means I have to hold these sellers to the standard of what we think is turnkey, because what I think is turnkey might not be what they think is turnkey, right? So a lot of times I'm negotiating the deal, negotiating with the seller and their realtor or whomever to make sure that they have that house up to our basic minimum standard for turnkey. And that can mean I'm negotiating for them to get those repairs done, or I'm negotiating for them to give us credits back at closing so we can get it done. Many scenarios. So that can take a while. And honestly, sometimes we walk away. If they're not going to meet our standard, but they still want us to pay, the full price for it, we're going to walk away. We're in this to make money, right? So that is where I find most of the time is taken. But in terms of things that we have direct control over, like our processes, well, that moves pretty quickly because we do the same thing the same way every time with the same few crews that we rotate. So that part is like clockwork, the part that we can control. But the parts that we cannot, I always tell people just expect 4 to 12 weeks. And that's from start to finish, from prospecting, finding the property, getting it rehab, getting the inspection, getting the certifications, getting the tenant screened and placed in there, to getting the right property management company. That process can take 4 to 12 weeks. And that's a good question. The next question is, do you have some examples with pictures or videos or some renovated houses you have done to get ready for Section 8? That question is obviously yes, right? Especially in the beginning, because I was obsessed with the before and afters. I love that part of it. So I have lots of before and after pictures, and I think I already have some YouTube videos and for sure like TikToks or YouTube shorts where I'm showing a lot of the before and afters. And when you work with me too, I also see you an example of a deal analysis that I've done, and it kind of breaks down me doing a tour of a house and looking at each part of that house from the perspective of a Section 8 inspector to make sure that we're ready. So yes, I do have lots of examples, but I also will send you personalized examples when we work together so you can see exactly what I'm seeing when we're moving forward on a property. Let's see. The next question is, what does a turnkey property mean to you? And examples of condition. So again, turnkey means something different to everybody. For me, turnkey is anything at or below a basic tenant turnover, which is about $5,000, right? And that should be, the most basic things like maybe a deep clean, maybe some paint, carpets if we need to, little miscellaneous cosmetic things that I know Section 8 will pick up on. Once we start getting anything above 5,000 or really getting into like some like the big five, roofing, plumbing, HVAC, electrical foundation. Okay, now we have a problem. Now that's not turnkey anymore. And in the early phases of me making the offers on your behalf and things like that, I'm already making sure that it's going to at least begin to meet our standard for turnkey. Um, Next question. What do you believe the average single family 3 or 4 bedroom house will cost? Approximate. It doesn't have to include closing costs or my fees or anything else, just the initial purchase price with a very light rehab if needed. So that's easy. I work in the same market forever. So in cash, if you're not using a lender for $70,000, you can very easily get a nice turnkey property that is ready to go. And that's for like a nice single family. If you're going to be using a lender, then that number moves to 100,000 because a lot of lenders won't even lend below 100K. So then that just bumps us up to 100K because we have to meet the lending requirements for it. But yeah, so $70,000 if you're going to be doing it in cash and $100,000 if you're going to be using a lender. How many houses do you believe you can get per year at that price? For me, I'll say 3 to 4 per month is reasonable because you have to remember, you don't see the back end. I showed you from that, but I'm making hundreds of offers per month. And of those hundreds of offers, maybe a couple dozen are accepted. Of those couple dozen, after we vet them and go take a look at the properties and really get our hands in there, of those couple dozen, we might be left with maybe only 10. That's how precise we have to be because remember, this is our money. Like when I owned a construction company, I used to always say, you measure twice, you cut once. And I brought that same thing into real estate investing. I am going to do all of the numbers. I'm going to check all of the boxes twice before we make that final decision to move forward. So I think 3 or 4 houses per month is a reasonable goal. And that's if you're doing it per house, right? We've had situations where we just will buy a whole portfolio. That makes it way easier. If your goal is to, scale and have as many as you possibly can, then at that point I'll start consulting with you on, okay, maybe we should buy some portfolios instead. I should have said that. I didn't say that in this response, but I probably should go ahead and write that. um, Says, how many Section 8 tenants are currently on the waiting list to get a house? Basically, what is the demand? I literally just went to the Section 8 affordable housing website and they tell you how many prospects are in your exact area based on your zip code. And at the time of this recording, it was 2,570 people looking for a house that would accept their Section 8 voucher just in this particular market. Do you have some customer referrals you can recommend of people that have used you in the past? Yes, guys, it's on my social media. If you go to my Facebook page, I have all of my reviews on there. We have 50 or more on there, reviews, 5 stars. We do have our partners sign NDAs. So I can't really give their information, but I will say this, once you become our client, we do have group meetings. And I found that a lot of times clients will like start talking to each other about their experiences. A lot of times they just want to make sure that I'm not charging one person one thing and one person the other thing, but you guys do get to talk to each other and compare notes and things like that. I'm aware of that, so I don't mind it at all. But in terms of like just reviews in general, what's out there, just go to my social media. There's so many, so many, so many on there.